Hey, how's it going, everybody? Lawler here on a happy 4th of July to all you Americans or others who like to celebrate it. But I'm actually up north in the woods hanging out with some friends. But before I ended up leaving for up north, I wanted to answer a Q&A video for you guys on Sunday. So we've got 4 questions we're going to be tackling, and they're varying all over the place between Dignitas results and roster changes, 3 caster format and caster insight, game modes within Rocket League and being able to play them in private matches. It's all over the place, and some personal stuff as well. So with that said, let's get into Q&A Sunday number 10. What's up, everybody? Lawler here, inside source for all things Rocket League. Another Q&A video coming at you guys every Sunday. As a reminder, if you guys would like some of your questions answered, you can always tweet at me at LawlerTV, ask me on Twitch, or you can always ask in the comments down below. If you guys would like to leave your comments and questions, and I will do my best to answer those in videos every single Sunday. You guys have been absolutely great about it, which I do greatly appreciate the love and support. So let's get into some of these questions. First question is going to be from Olympic55. It says, "Hey Lawler, love the content. Appreciate Olympic, thank you. Whenever a limited time mode is released, there's only one playlist to play in it, and it's casual. Do you think Epic will ever make it so you can play limited time modes in private matches, though? Console player here. I know Leth does his hacker stuff on PC to play when he wants. There's a couple facets to this. First things first, it is a limited time mode, which means it's not necessarily finalized. There is some complications about limited time modes with PC as well as console. PC obviously has the ability to, on Steam and Epic Games Store, to get consistent updates on a regular basis that they can schedule as long as they want. Especially with Epic Games owning Rocket League, they can put as many updates out as they want. But with console, with PlayStation and Switch and everything else, the difficulty is you can only release updates every so often, and it creates some complications because of that. They have to schedule in advance a big content update that they push at once. And the biggest thing with limited time modes, and the reason why they aren't put out, in my opinion, in private, the ability to host them in game, is because of the fact that they are not finalized. They may want to make tweaks and adjustments in the future, which I do understand, but at the same time, it would be really cool for us to be able to host private matches and play them whenever we want it, because some of these game modes and some of these new maps are pretty slick. But I do think, especially for the ones that are like that long skinny map, Corridor, I think it was called, or the Basin one, there is some tweaks that I still think they want to make, and they're early foundations of possibly a full-blown map in the future. So I do feel part of the reason why we can't play them in private is because they technically haven't been finalized yet, which kind of stinks. The reason why Leth can do his hacker stuff is because when they do release those maps, they are in the coding on PC. They are part of the files that you download with the update, and he has the ability to then go check those and make and manipulate and do what he would like, which then allows us to play it in the future as well outside of that. Case in point, Gridiron, when it was no longer available, we still had those files, which he can translate into his own map and download and save and then adjust when needed. So obviously the benefits of modifications that you can do on PC that you can't do on console because of the limitations, which is kind of nice being a PC player. But overall, I do hope that in the future they do allow us to host not only just private matches, but also in tournaments. How awesome would it be to take a bunch of these custom LTM modes and do a tournament in Rocket League through the tournament in-game system and host that with my fan base? I would love to do these on stream like once a week, where it's like, yo, sign up for this tournament. We'll do a couple a day and you get to play in these crazy wacky game modes. I think that'd be really cool and something that they should definitely look into. I can't say that. Guy, thank you for the question. It says, question for next Q&A Sunday. How do you feel about Dignitas roster change coming up? And if they keep the same roster, will they perform better anytime soon? If yes, what place would they be in Europe? 4th, 5th, 6th? Thanks for the amazing content and always much love from the Netherlands. Yo, appreciate the love, man. That's why I'm a Dig fan. Hey, Violent Panda and the boys from... I get it. Pretty much all of my Twitch stream is from that area. They make fun of me for not being able to say like Swedish or Danish words. And I basically just say shmeh because I can't pronounce all those vowels. Case in point, I read your name and I go, what? I don't know how. So, big question. How do I feel about Dignitas? I feel a lot of really good things about Dignitas. Love what the organization has done and their involvement in Rocket League. Printaville and the guys over there have been working very hard to make sure Dignitas is a staple and a regular for Rocket League. So shout outs to the Dignitas organization, Mel and everybody else over there. Absolutely love you guys. Same roster is kind of a unique one. Obviously, a couple days ago, I talked about Possible roster changes that was rumored from Shift, where Shazette may be taking the place of Island Panda. And what that would do, I actually do not know. Shazette's normally not only can be a playmaker, but he's known for his really, really good positioning. And how that will work based upon a foundation in Dignitas that has been based upon pass-heavy Captain and Violent Panda style, I honestly have no idea. That would be very interesting. If we look at Dignitas right now with Violent Panda, Jorias, and Jack, Jorias and Jack are obviously the two offensive-heavy players that create opportunities and score, while Violent Panda is there as a mediator. He's there not only to be vocal and do the call-outs, but also be there to mediate and pass the ball and get things going, which is part of the foundation and the system that Dignitas has created. You can plug and play just about any player, which they've shown, young or otherwise, with Astral, Jorias, and Jack now, that after a little bit of time, it will work into their system. And if you get rid of a core member of that without Violent Panda is interesting. I do think right now with the 3 members they do have, there is a lot of potential, but there's been a lot of things with RLCSX that I think have limited them. Obviously, Violent Panda has been dealing with tendonitis in his thumb, which obviously that much playtime has never really given him the ability to fully rest it and heal up. And the times that he has, the team has looked very good. I think they are competitive and have potential to be a top 6, top 8 team in the region, which is striking chance to go to a world championship, but I don't know if that's good enough for them. I think they want to be back into the conversation where they were winning regionals over Vitality, which we haven't seen Dignitas win consistently in a very long time. So do you make a roster change, or do you continue to build upon that same roster? I think it's the exact same situation you look at someone like Version 1 as. Case in point, Version 1 is a team that has a new addition in Calm, who's very talented, Torment and Gimmick, who have been around for a while. And do you continue to build upon, because we've seen you guys capable of competing in the top 3, top 4, and winning against the top dogs? Or do you make a change and try to build upon that, knowing the next foreseeable future, you're going to have to stick with the same roster, despite maybe a trade window or here? And I think it's a really tough conversation. I think it's really difficult for the coach like Verge or Fireburner, as well as the organization backing them, to make those types of decisions, because it is a very, very large impact that will play out for the foreseeable future. So I do think it's very difficult. I think both teams have a ton of potential, both Dignitas and V1, because I think there's a lot of parallels. And whether they make a decision or not, I have faith that the coaches on that team and the support staff on that team will make something successful happen. These are 2 big organizations, primarily if we keep the focus on Dignitas, though. An organization that is going to do what they can, and they have the funding and the facilities to make sure this is a top-tier roster. So I can expect maybe some adjustments to be made. Maybe you start to see Violent Panda move into a coaching position or an internal position with Dignitas. I don't know. Maybe goes plays for another team. There's a lot of different things. And these are all rumors still, but as they stand now, I do think they have a ton of potential, and that a little bit of a break and then trying a resurgence is probably not a bad idea. So overall, loving what Dignitas is doing. I think there's still a ton of potential. It's just a matter of what direction they want to go in, which, again, we just have to wait and see. Third question comes from Al, or AL. It says, first off, big props for being so impactful and informative of this scene. Thank you, sir. I do it because you guys appreciate it. So without you guys, I wouldn't do it. So thank you to you guys as well. Second, what do you think of the new 3-caster format for games? Do you think it's too cramped? What is your speculation for the reason behind the change? So the reason it happened was because in the regional championships, so RLCSX championships, those series were best of sets, which means that the casters at any given moment could be casting for 2.5 hours straight with a little bit of a break. As someone who has commentated in the RLCS in the live environment, casting 2.5 hours straight as a play-by-play and a color commentator is exhausting. It's a lot. And I think part of the reason why they did it is to give some brevity to it, to make sure that if someone wants to take a step back or wants to just kind of sit and observe for a little bit, the other one can come in, and it basically helps with the strain on the voice and allows things to come together. So I think overall, the ability to give these guys a break mid-series is really important, and that is part of the reasoning. I will say that they don't get enough credit for it. Normally, when you're casting with somebody and you're able to sit right next to them, you can pick up on cues like me tapping the desk to say, hey, I've got something I want to say, or telling you, hey, keep going because I'm trying to get a process down or I'm writing something down. There's a lot of things body language do for casters that online you don't get. And it's not only you lose out on that personal connection when you're with each other, but then you're also dealing with lag. you're dealing with the delay that comes with a voice program that they're doing with these broadcasts. And not only that, you're now adding in a third person with no way to say, hey, I'm jumping in. Hey, I've got something I want to say. And you're having to do that without any practice, any formal training, any of that kind of stuff leading into this event. Based upon my assumption, I assume they're just like, hey, we're doing TriCast. It's something who you want to work with. Let's see how it goes. So that stuff, I think, is not getting enough credit. I do not think that the guys that handled the RLCS broadcast got enough credit for what they attempted there. There was obviously some overlap, people talking over each other, a lot of difficulties that happen because they aren't in person. But to accomplish what they did is absolutely fantastic. I think in a game like Rocket League, I don't think we need 3 commentators. I think for a long series, it's not a bad idea. But I also think that the way that Rocket League commentary should be done is not the way it's done now. Right now, there is a play-by-play and a color commentator, and they have a very templated way of doing things. And I'm a firm believer that it should be a conversational style, which some casters do, where if there's a hype moment going on as a color commentator, I can be talking and making a point, but I also can identify when it's a scoring opportunity, and I can just as easily transition into hyping that moment and then let my color commentator or my play-by-play color commentator do the color commentary. That interchangeability is super important. I also don't think commentators need to point out every single little thing, every single goal, every single whatever. I think the general IQ of the Rocket League fan base and the Rocket League community has definitely gone up over the past 5 years of watching this esport. I don't think you need me to point out the fact that the ball went in the net. It's the beauty of this game. It's super simplistic. And I understand for some watching at home, they want to hear every little thing if they're, not actively watching it. But I think for the viewing experience, and something that a game like Counter-Strike does so well, is they do such a phenomenal job of slowing down the pace and controlling the pace of the cast, and then making sure to emphasize the big moments. It's like 2 buddies are just sitting there talking, watching the game, and then when something hype happens, the play-by-play happens, and it really brings you in. It gets your ears to perk up, and you tune in. I personally think that's how Rocket League should be casted. In a game that is so fast-paced and so cluttered all the time and reactionary, I don't think you need the commentators myself, in my opinion, to talk about every little thing. I think if we're having a good conversation about a bigger picture situation or talking about playstyle differentiations, rather than having to cut that off and be like, oh yeah, they scored, and then go back to it, I think you should be able to have that conversation and then talk about and reference that goal in the past. Don't think every little thing needs to happen. But in the serious moments, when it's overtime, everything's on the line and stuff, yeah, you focus in on play-by-play. I'm just a firm believer that you should trust your commentators. You hired them for a reason. You think they're talented and do their job well, so let them do the job the way they think they should. And obviously, just to provide insight, every developer or every gig I do, I ask the person I'm working for, what kind of style do you want? What are you looking to accomplish here? What is the theme that you want for the commentary? And a lot of them lately have been like, do your thing, we trust you, which has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm really appreciative of it. So I don't think it's too cramped, as long as it's in person. Online, it's a little bit more difficult to accomplish. Last and certainly not least comes from Dan W. It says, not to judge a book by its cover, but you have a metal punk rock aesthetic, and the intro riff is very metalcore-ish, true. So who are your favorite bands, whether I assumed right or not? So fun fact, if you guys don't know, I used to be in a metal band a while back. I was a vocalist for a band. We sucked, and it's why I'm no longer doing it. But yeah, I do have that aesthetic with the tattoos and stuff. I used to have gauges and everything. And the intro was actually made by Johnny McBee, who's the lead singer of The Browning. They're like a techno, like metal kind of style. Very fun, party-ish. They're like Attack, but new generation. Pretty cool. I guess that's the best example I can give for some people. But my personal taste is actually death metal. I prefer There It Is Murder, Fit for an Autopsy. Shout out to Joe, you're a legend. New Lorna Shore is really good. There It Is Murder, Whitechapel, Slaughter to Prevail. Like, I like really heavy stuff. Good bass drops, really good deep gutturals. Whitechapel and like Phil Bozeman and stuff. My favorite frontmen are probably CJ from There It Is Murder, Phil Bozeman from Whitechapel, Joe, who's a good friend of mine from Fit for an Autopsy. Those are the type of bands that I generally prefer. But I like everything. Anything but country, really, and like this new generation of like mumble rap. Pop here and there. I'll listen anywhere from like Backstreet Boys to death metal. I'll listen to R&B and like Boys to Men in 90s and 80s and 70s, which is crazy to think about. It's been 50 years since that stuff has come out. I'm getting old, but Yeah, I like a little bit of everything. I think it's a pretty good time. I like oldies, I like new, like indie folk and alternative and just about everything. So I like a lot of different music, and I think a lot of people who are into metal are kind of that same way. We dabble in just about everything because we prefer music, not just this is what I like. I'm very into music. It got me out of a lot of rough times in my life, which I've spoken to publicly. And on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Lawler, I stream every day but Tuesday and Sunday. Come hang out with us. There's a lot of emphasis on music and listening to music and educating people on music. So even though I have no degree or backing in music, I just really love it. So shout outs to bands like Polyphia and like Tim Henson for changing it. Jason Richardson and how he plays a 6/8 string guitar and it's his sixth instrument, and seeing the way that bands orchestrate and create and reverse engineer vocalists to make riffs, and it's incredible. Love what music does. I think it's a very special thing. So that hopefully answers your question to the degree that you want. That's gonna wrap it up for this video of Q&A Sunday. If you guys do have additional questions you'd like me to answer, or things I have not gotten to yet, let me know in the comments down below. I'll make sure to tackle those next week. But that is going to do it for this video. If you guys enjoy it, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.